Hello everyone, this is Matt Owens coming to you from the Learning and Outreach Center. This is our second video on our little series about the Sabbath. And once again, I'm telling you to do not trust me, don't trust any man. God gave us a brain and He gave us a Bible. I'm asking you to read along with me today. Once again, we've already done one video on this and I asked the same thing. So just to rehash, in case you don't know what's going on, about the Sabbath, what we talked about, I would really like for you to go back and watch video 1 before you watch this video. But if you want to go ahead and watch video 2, let me give you a little background to what I'm saying. Some people today, as Christians, they meet on Saturday. Friday evening to Saturday evening is the Sabbath. Some say that's the day we're supposed to meet on. Others say that we're supposed to meet on the first day of the week because that was the day Jesus was resurrected on, and that's the proper day to meet. So some people argue back and forth. Once again, I have very good friends who are very strong Christian people who believe that they ought to meet on the Sabbath, and that's okay. I've got no problem with them. So I just thought what we could do is let you determine what you should do by reading the scriptures. Now, granted, I mentioned last time that the seventh day God rested in Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 there. And then next time we really hear about the Sabbath day, or I see it, is Exodus 16. This is a few weeks after the Exodus from Egypt, from being the Israelites, that is, from being in slavery. So God says in Exodus 16, verse 4, He's going to rain down bread from heaven. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. So we read Exodus 16, of course. Many of the Israelites didn't listen to God. They disobeyed Him, and their food would wind up with maggots in it, and it would have a odor to it. It would stink and so forth. But if they did what God said, then everything was fine. Same way today, actually, principle. So you can read Exodus 16 on your own. Today, in video number 2, we're going to pick up let's look at the 10 Commandments, so-called. Exodus chapter 20, and look in verse 8. He says, "Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but on the seventh day," that is a day of the Sabbath day, that the seventh day is a Sabbath, a day of rest, "to your Lord your God, on it you shall not do any work. Neither you, nor your son, or your daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made, or God made, the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But He rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy." While I'm on this just for a second, I still have a tough time when I talk to some of my friends who believe that the days in Genesis chapter 1 are billions of years. When He keeps on saying in 6 days, He didn't say 6 days of, which really means billions of years. He said 6 days. He made the earth and everything that is in it, and under the heavens, the universe and everything. And then on the Sabbath day, He rested. He made it holy. So we got the command there in the 10 Commandments And people say, well, we're under the 10 Commandments today, right, Matt? That's going to be another video. But I say no. Are they good principles? Yes. We're under the new covenant. This is the covenant that God made with the Israelites. We don't practice everything that was told in that covenant. God made a new covenant with us, I believe, Acts chapter 2, the day of Pentecost. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but we'll have a video or two on that as well. I can prove it, okay? So, there's Exodus 20. Let's go over to, I believe it's Exodus 31, and let's look in verse 12. Exodus 31, verse 12. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, you must observe my Sabbaths. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, right? You must observe my Sabbaths, the seventh day, the last day of the week. And I've already told you that Sunday is the first day of the week. There's no such thing so-called as a Christian Sabbath, okay? The Sabbath is the last day of the week. It's Friday evening to Saturday evening, and then the first day of the week begins. That was the day Jesus was resurrected on. He says, now watch this closely. I'm in Exodus 31:13. Say to the Israelites, you must observe my Sabbaths. This will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come. So you may know that I am the Lord who makes you holy. Once again, we saw this in the last video, video 1. This test, these provisions that they're told to do are made, okay, by keeping the Sabbath and getting the twice as much food on the sixth day, the day of preparation, it's Friday. If they didn't do that, there were consequences. He said, don't work. No one else should do anything in your family. But you'll know that he's the Lord because he's providing for you. That's what it's about. Verse 14, observe the Sabbath because it is holy to you. Now what's this? Anyone who desecrates it is to be put to death? Let me read that again. Anyone who desecrates it, that's the Sabbath, is to be put to death. That's pretty serious, isn't it? Those who do any work on that day must be cut off from their people. Oh, the Lord is serious about what he told them. Today, I wonder if those who claim to be keeping the Sabbath and it's a must, not a good idea. Some people say it's just a good idea. Okay, fine. Some say it's my opinion. Okay, fine. Then there are others who are militant about it and say we must, and if you disobey keeping the Sabbath, if you don't keep the Sabbath, then you're lost. I'm like, okay. Are you doing everything that you're supposed to on that day? Are you making any fire? Are you cooking anything that day? Are you preparing your meals the day before? I mean, that's what he said do, right? If you don't, you're going to be put to death and to be cut off from the people, the Israelites. Verse 15 of Exodus 31. For 6 days work is to be done, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death. Let me read that again. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death. That's what he said, right? That's what I read. You read it for yourself. The Israelites are to observe the Sabbath, celebrating it for generations to come as a lasting covenant. It will be a sign. Now watch this closely. Verse 17. The Sabbath day, the day of rest there, it will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. When the Lord finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him 2 tablets of the covenant law, the tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God. You say, Matt, that was a covenant sign, a marker that God was in a covenant relationship, an agreement with the Israelites. Is that right? That's what he said, correct? Turn over to, let's look at Exodus 35 now. Moses assembled the whole Israelite community and said to them, "These are the things the Lord has commanded you to do. For 6 days work is to be done, but the seventh day shall be your holy day, a day of Sabbath rest to the Lord." Now watch again. "Whoever does any work on it is to be put to death. Do not light a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day." Don't even light a fire? Don't light a fire on any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. You are to completely rest. Think about what God has done for you, especially the Israelites, how they were delivered from bondage of Pharaoh in Egypt. You say, "Man, I'm seeing a different reason now than I understood before about why God is wanting to keep this Sabbath." Yeah. I don't think we fully understand sometimes the requirements of this Sabbath keeping. And I'm looking at these passages here. I've got a few more I could read, like Numbers 15, for instance, 32. We were in Exodus, now I'm in Numbers. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the 5 books of the law, the Torah, the Pentateuch. Verse 32 of Numbers 15 says, "While the Israelites were in the wilderness, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly, and they kept him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him. Then the Lord said," no, who said this? Not Moses, but the Lord said to Moses, "The man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp." So the assembly took him outside the camp and stoned him to death as the Lord commanded Moses. You say, "Well, Matt, that's awful harsh right there." God was trying to keep a community to bring this lineage about that would bring Jesus, the lineage that would bring Jesus. He wanted it pure. He was serious about these commands. They disobeyed him and disobeyed him and disobeyed him. They murmured, they complained, they griped. The Lord tried to love them all the time, and yet sometimes he would say, I want to destroy them all. Moses would speak to God, say, no, hang on a second. God would hear, he would listen, and he would forgive them again if they would repent. Thousands and thousands died in that wilderness because they would not obey God. Here's one man that said that God said, you must stone him because he was gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Now, let's be logical here a second. If we're commanded, because the Old Testament tells us to keep the Sabbath today, then aren't we required to do the same things for the violations? You say, well, no, Matt, no. The violations, we don't have to practice the punishment anymore. We just have to keep the Sabbath. If you want to say it's a good idea to remember God and rest on the Sabbath, I say that's a good thing. If you can do it, I'd say it's a great thing. But I would ask you who are binding this on other Christians and making them feel inferior or less of a godly person or Christian than you are, for telling them that if they don't obey the Sabbath and keep it holy, so forth, because the Old Testament says so, we're still under that covenant and blah, 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 then I would say you might want to rethink your position a little bit. If you want to say it's a suggestion that it's a good idea to keep the Sabbath and keep it holy, then I'd say yes, it's a good idea. But according to these Old Testament passages, we really, I don't think we understand today as Christians what it was to keep the Sabbath in those days. So I'm going to end with this, and we'll pick up more about the New Testament in the third video coming up. As I always say, God gave us a brain and He gave us a Bible. I guarantee you, if you'll trust Him, if you'll read on your own, Check these verses out. I said, don't believe me. Don't believe any man. Look these verses up. I guarantee you, you'll find the truth. This is Matt Owens coming from the Learning Outreach Center. We love you, and God loves you.